the track.
Okay, I'm gonna buy a visa, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna travel around the world, don't wait me there anymore, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm just a bullet, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that they don't want nothing, of course, that is what you can have, that they don't want nothing, that is what you can have, that I'm not doing anything bad, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that they just wanna survive, of course, that is what you can see, that I'm going in the exodus, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, of course, that is what you can have, that you're gonna be slaves in Egypt now, of course, then let's go, of course, that is what you can have, that they don't want nothing, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna go, that I'm gonna travel around the world, like a refugee, of course, I'm in my plane, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so what are you gonna say? Of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so what are you gonna say? Of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna go, that I'm gonna forget about everything, and I'm gonna travel around the world, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm not in the States anymore, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that I'm traveling around the world, of course, that is what you can have, catch me if you can, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, that I'm gonna forget about all you, that is what you can have, that I'm with my TV car, you see my heart, of course, and I'm gonna travel around the world, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna forget about all you, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, that I'm gonna forget about you, that is what you can have, that I'm not there anymore, of course, I'm in the plane, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, that I'm traveling around the world, I'm a refugee, but I have my money to travel around the world and forget about you, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, of course, I'm a tourist, motherfucker, that is what you can have, that I'm talking English because I'm a tourist, and the people understand English better than other languages, of course, that is what you can see here, so forget about me, that is what you can have, that I'm a tourist, of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have, that I'm not in the States anymore, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm a tourist, of course, forget about me, bye.
Those on the track.
Of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that your money is yours and only yours, and so it should be, that is what you can have. So go on, of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have, that your money is yours and only yours, and so it should be. That is what you can have, so forget about them, that is what you can have, that no one can against me. Of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have, that I have God asking for my money, of course, that is what you can have, that I have God begging me to pay his bills, of course, that is what you can have, then okay, what can I do? Nothing, of course, forget about them, that is what you can have, that if they wanna be safe, it's their problem, that is what you can have, that I give them some baths, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that if they wanna be safe, they have some baths for them, that is what you can have, of course, that I give for them, that no one can against me, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that they are gonna sing on when they have something of their own in Iran, of course, that is what you can have, that they have some baths for them, take them, that is what you can have, you wanna be safe, then take money to be safe, that is what you can have, but they are gonna sing on when they have something of their own in Iran, I'm sending to regret it in the confessionary, so That is what you can have. If you wanna save someone, it's not my fault. Just go. That is what you can have. I don't wanna see you here anymore. That is what you can have. Then I have all the checks. Of course, I don't have base in my account. That is what you can have. That I have all the checks. That is what you can have. That no one can against me. So what are you gonna say? Just go. That is what you can have. That I have a recheck. That is what you can have. That no one can against me. So what are you gonna say? Just go and let me be. You wanna be safe? Take my checks, motherfucker. I don't want it. That is what you can have. That I give it them. That is what you can have. So go. That is what you can have. That you're gonna sing on when you have something of your own in your own. I don't wanna see you here anymore. Just go and say someone. I give it them. That is what you can have. So go. That is what you can have. That I'm in the Exodus with my visa. That is what you can have. That no one can against me. That is what you can have. That I'm in the Exodus with my visa. And I give it them. Of course, that is what you can have. That I'm like a refugee. That is what you can see. That no one can against me. So what are you gonna say? I give it them. That is what you can have. That I'm gonna forget about all you. That is what you can have. So go on. What are you gonna say? Bye. Of course, that is what you can have. That I'm gonna forget about all you. Of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have. That I'm like Alejandro here. Of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have. That I give it them. Of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have. That I'm gonna shoot myself like Alejandro. That is what you can have. And I give it them. That is what you can have. That no one can against me. So what are you gonna say? Of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have. That I give it them. That I'm gonna blow myself like Alejandro, of course, and I'm gonna suffer the electroshocks. That is what you can have, of course. That is what you can see, and you can throw me your thunders into your eyes, and I give it them. That is what you can have. That I'm gonna blow myself like Alejandro, and I give it them. That is what you can have, of course. That is what you can see. That no one can against me, of course, motherfucker. That is what you can have. That no one can against me. Of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have. That I'm only a boy, I'm not a terrorist, motherfucker. That is what you can have. That no one can against me. That the only thing I say is that your money is yours and that you don't have to pay the bills from no one and save no one. That is what you can have. That your money is yours. Of course, that is what you can have. That I have got crazy after my money. Of course, that is what you can have. That God is crazy after my money. That is what you can have. That God wants that I pay his bills. Okay, I pay his bills. I give it them. I'm gonna spend my own money in the strip clubs around the world. Of course, that is what you can have. That no one can against me. That I'm gonna spend my own money in the strip clubs around the world, and I give it them. That is what you can have. That no one can against me. That if God wants some money, take some money, give it them. Forget about me. That is what you can have. That I don't wanna say nothing wrong about you, but I don't wanna know nothing about you too. That is what you can have. That I give it them. That I don't wanna save no one. That is what you can have. But if you wanna be safe, take some checks. That is what you can have. That I give it them. That is what you can have. That I'm gonna forget about you and I'm not gonna see you here anymore. That is what you can have. That I'm traveling around the world with my visa like a refugee. That is what you can have. That no one can against me. Of course, that is what you can have. That I'm gonna forget about you. Of course, I don't wanna be safe in Egypt, motherfucker. I give it them. I go. That is what you can have here. So go on. Of course, motherfucker, I'm a tourist. That is what you can have. That I give them. That I'm a tourist and I speak at English so the people understand me better, motherfucker. That is what you can have, that I'm traveling around the world, that I'm not in the States, motherfucker, that I'm a tourist, that I'm talking English so the people understand me better. That is what you can have, that I give it them, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can put me in jail, I didn't do anything, of course, motherfucker. I give a headshot to your guy, of course, motherfucker, I give it them, that no one can against me, that is what you can have, that no one can against me. That is what you can have, that I'm gonna forget about you, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have. That I'm gonna forget about you, that no one can against me, that I don't wanna know nothing about you, that is what you can have. That I'm okay, that I'm going away, of course, that I'm forgetting about all them, that I do it like that, and I forget about all you and jump, of course, that is what you can have. That no one can against me, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna drink the whole bottle, I'm gonna give a kiss, I'm gonna blow you a kiss in the bottle and I give it them. That is what you can have, that no one can against me, that I'm a tourist, that I'm traveling around the world, of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have. That I'm traveling around the world, of course, I'm a tourist, I'm traveling around the world and forgetting about you, I'm not in the States, motherfucker. That is what you can have, that no one can against me, of course, motherfucker, I'm not a terrorist, that is what you can have, that I give it them, of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have, that I give a headshot to your guy, of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have, that I'm clean, that I'm not there, of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have, that I'm not a terrorist, of course, that I blow myself like a bull, that is what you can have, that I'm in the top of the town and give it up, of course, that is what you can have, that I'm just calling, of course, motherfucker, that I'm a tourist and that I'm traveling around the world, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have, that I'm gonna blow a kiss to the bottle and I give it them, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so forget about me, of course, motherfuckers, that is what you can have, that I'm a tourist in the exodus like a refugee traveling around the world with my visa and I give it them. That is what you can have, that no one can against me, that I'm gonna blow a kiss to the bottle, of course, motherfucker, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, and that I'm gonna forget about you, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, that I'm gonna forget you, that is what you can have, so go on, of course, that is what you can have, that no one can against me, so bye. I'm traveling around the world with my visa.